Alrighty. Hello. This is my workshop for Figma. Thank you all for coming. Um, so if you didn't already know, I'm Michelle. This is me here. Um, I'm a fifth year interactive arts and technology student at SFU. I work as a product designer and web developer startup called Gusto. You may also know me as the Surge Marketing Director, among other things. Um, So if, like I said in the chat, if you don't have Figma, now would be a great time to open it and make one. Or if you already have one, to just open it. And I will just keep talking as you do so. So first we should probably start with what is design, since Figma is a design tool. So the way I've kind of consolidated what design is at the moment is that it's the process of ideating and creating objects, spaces, and services to solve problems. These problems are often a combination or one of business, people, and world problems. So if you want like a small scale example, I needed a logo, so I had to think really hard about it, as Winnie the Pooh here is showing. And then I would have to do a lot of ideation to think about what I might want my logo to look like. And then I will take my ideation and turn it into a logo using design tools such as Figma. Oh, okay, we skipped one. So Figma is a design tool that's used by many people. It's famously described as a Google Docs, but for design. And there's kind of four main tools that you will need to create interfaces using Figma. So the first one, as you can see here, is the move tool. Looks like this. Shortcut is K, and then it lets you move around Figma and select different elements. And then the next one is the frame tool. Looks like this. Shortcut is F, and then it lets you create artboards, which are the size of the screen you want to work on. They have a lot of presets in the program for like mobile and desktop and social media posts and the like. Then the next tool is the shape tool. This is also another very commonly used tool. There's a lot of different shapes within kind of this selection. The most commonly used tool is the rectangle, but there's also like triangle and star and circle and all that stuff. And then lastly, there's the text tool. So it lets you put words on your shapes, and you can, pretty self-explanatory, that one. Next. So how do we put tools together to make different components that you might find on a screen or on a post or something? So for example, if you use the shape tool to create a rectangle, and then you add text on top with the text tool, then you get a button. And then another example is using the shape tool and a text tool again to create a text input. And then you can use a lot of different combinations of these tools in order to make screens. So I don't know if anyone wants to shout out any tools I may have used to create this screen here. Maybe I should look at the chat. Huh. Anyone have any suggestions? Yeah, rectangle, pen tool, yeah. Icons, text tool. No problem. Button was done with a rectangle tool, and then you can put text on top, and the text is up to you. Line tool, that works too. Yeah, so you guys seem to be getting the gist of the different tools. So now maybe we can try and make one. you guys can try and make one by yourself, or you can watch me do it and type some things you want to see, and then maybe we'll reconvene in 20 minutes or so. But right now, I will make one, and you guys can shout things out for me, or you can try by yourself. Yeah. So I will make a new board. Hello. So this is kind of what an empty Figma will look like. There will be kind of nothing. It will be vast and empty. So the first thing you always want to do is to make an artboard, which is the size of the thing you are working on. So you will use the frame tool, and then over here you can see the different presets they have. So since we're gonna make a login screen, we use the phone. Does anyone have a preference on what phone we should use? Who? Pixel 2 XL. All right, done. Okay, so we're making a login screen. What should we make the login screen for? Canvas, new users. But what kind of app are we making it for? Logging into Surge, of course. E-commerce. All right, let's go with e-commerce. Okay, so what are some components you commonly see on a login screen? What's typically on a login screen? A greeting. Yeah, that's often good. Greeting. Oh, greeting. Username, password, company logo, bot password. Yeah, nice stuff. Somewhere to register. Yes, we might need that. That's kind of important. All right. So I think this covers most of the components needed to make a login screen. So what's kind of great about using Figma and like designing very common screens like a login screen is that there is a standard for everything. So often for things like the username and password field, you can find kind of people who have already made kind of things in the standard size. And you can do that using Figma's community portal. So Figma's community portal is on the main page. You can search for what is called a UI kit. And then you can see different kind of styles and themes for different kind of devices, different kinds of apps, different kinds of pages. And you're free to use this for your own personal projects or hackathon projects or projects. So I'll just take the first one here, go to the UI kit, and we'll take the login elements here. Ta-da! And we'll put it on our screen. There we go. How did I get the phone layout? So to find these kind of UI kits, you can go to Figma's community portal, which is here on the main page before you make a file. And then you can search for what's called a UI kit. And you'll see lots of different options come up for like phone layouts. And I just kind of picked the first one, but it doesn't particularly matter which one you pick, apart from kind of the device specific sections, kind of like, I think this is an iOS one. And then I think there's an Android one here. Yeah. So now taking these elements, we can put them on the page however we like. Whoa. Yay. Ta-da. So now we already have a lot of the comments needed to create a login screen, such as the password, username, forgot password. Ta-da. Now we may want to add a greeting. So I assume everyone knows how we can add a greeting, what tool it might need to be used. Possibly a text tool. Yeah, text tool. Anyone have a suggestion for a greeting? Hello. Welcome. Hello world. All right. Hello world. There we go. We got a greeting. Ta-da. We got a greeting. There we go. We've got hello world for you now. Is there a mobile version of Figma? I know you can view your files on mobile. Oh, I missed an I. I'm missing an I? An L? I am missing an L. I can spell. You can view your Figma files on mobile, but you can't really design on mobile. So you might need a computer to do any designing, but if you want to like stare at your file for some reason, you can't do that on mobile. How do you change the font of text? Good question. So when you select your text that you made, you can see there's a lot of, I can view it, but I can't edit it. Did you create the file you are working in? I mean on mobile. Yes. On mobile, you can view it. Yes, as Nathan also said, you can also use Figma Mirror to see your prototypes in action. But yes, to change the font, you can see the little text panel on the right when you click your text layer, and it will show you all your available fonts here. Most of these fonts will be from Google Fonts, but as I'm using the like web app of Figma, it also takes into account my local fonts. Yes, design tab, also important. Yeah, so you can change the font. I don't know if anyone has a font preference. We can see if I have it. Everyone okay with Comic Sans? We're doing it. I have Comic Sans because this is a design workshop. The text inputs are in a frame. Is that the best practice? Yeah, typically that's one of the most common practices, either that or an underline. You kind of just need a way to like tell people that they're clickable. And yes, here's Comic Sans. I also have Comic New, or a classier Comic Sans. And then company logo is one thing we're missing now. So obviously not everyone can draw their own logos. I try my best. Some people here may feel like they are not comfortable enough to draw the logos, and that's perfectly okay, because there are a lot of open source illustrations available for you to use for your projects. I mean, it's in a frame in Figma instead of just a group. It's good to keep everything in a frame because that kind of designates the size of whatever you're working on. And also when you go into prototyping mode, it will only show stuff that's in frames. So it's probably important to put everything. Yes, I was back on illustrations. There are a lot of illustrations available to you for you to use. You can access them on the internet. There are sites like opendoodles.com, undraw.com/illustrations. So you can grab those from the internet and you'll be able to use them in your Figma just by copy pasting or saving and then dragging them in. But if you don't want to leave Figma and you want to use illustrations, you can also use what's called a plugin. So I have the plugins installed. There's stuff for icons like Iconly, and then the one I'll use is called Illustrations. Will it load? It's having a challenge. Oh, there we go. So you can get plugins that open right in Figma that have illustrations that you can use. So I'll just use we'll use this one. And then it will automatically kind of pull an illustration into your file. If you are new to Figma and you don't have plugins, but you want a plugin, you can go again to the community tab and you can search for the kind of plugin you're looking for. For example, if we're looking for illustrations, you can see up here, there are files, plugins, and creators. So the files are like the UI kits, and you can also just go in, copy and paste them into your file. But there's also the plugins option where you can download plugins that will automatically load into your Figma once you hit the install button that's over here on the right. Yes. Then they will be in your Figma file. Then you can place this, you can pretend that this is our company now. Ta-da. Yeah. Last thing is a link to sign up. I'm gonna swap this for the forgot your password because I feel like it's probably more important to sign up. And here we go. We have a basic login screen in Figma. And now you'll be able to go on to make other screens and continue your app design journey. So when you have your screens, such as this one, and like the rest of the screens of your application, you may be wondering, what happens after? There are kind of two options here. So the first one is prototyping, which can be done in Figma. You see down here, this is one of my older projects. Each one of these kind of blue lines is a different kind of prototype point, and it will let you connect your screens together. And there are like different options you can pick. So there's stuff like on click, on drag, when hovering, mouse enter, mouse leave, and you can kind of tailor the animation however you would like. So to see that in action, we're going to copy the screen and we're gonna go through prototyping a login. All right, so on the main screen, the person would probably type in their email. Does anyone have a fake email they would like to contribute? How do we open another screen in the same project? Good question. You can use you can click on the frame tool again to open another screen in the same project, or you can click on the title of your currently open frame and you can just copy paste and it will copy it and make another frame that you can just erase. All right, let's go with email at Gmail. Ta-da. And then next they would probably enter a password. You shouldn't be able to see. Oh. There's going to be a password. Whoa. So now we have a password. And then they'll probably just go into the app. So I'll just make this like this for now, for the example. So how we go about prototyping is we have to go into the prototype panel, which is on the right underneath the share button. That's where you can see like the 3 panel options. So when you go into the prototype panel, it will just look like this when you don't have anything kind of selected. And then what you want to do is you want to connect the interaction points. So you can connect the whole screen using like this dot, but then it will change regardless of where they touch on the screen. So what you want to do is you want to kind of simulate what people would normally do, like if this was a real app. So you would probably guess that people would want to type in their email first. So you'll use the email kind of connector bubble. That's right here. And you'll stick it to the next screen. And then you'll do the exact same thing when you continue with password. And then the login button. So that kind of simulates a flow. And then I've kind of kept it really simple with just on tap, and then it will go to the next page. But you can kind of play around with that, make it fancier, however you would like to do it. But now that we've connected our screens, we'll be able to run what's called a prototype, and you'll be able to see like what people who use your app will see using the play button right here. It's called present. Yes, when it runs when it needs to not run my slides. New file. Alrighty. Play. So now we have our app in prototype mode. So now when we kind of click through the things, how did I hide the passwords? Oh, I just typed the asterisk. I didn't type a password. Yeah, and then when you click on the username, it will change to this screen. When you click on the password, it will change to this screen. And then when you click on the login, it will go into your main screen when you make it. Yeah, so that's kind of one of the options you have after you finish kind of designing your app in Figma. And then the other option, when I have to cycle through my slides again, is development. I am not a developer, but luckily lots of people in Surge are, and they are very familiar with what is called the inspect panel. So the CSS that Figma outputs looks like this on the work file, the working file. You can find it here next to the design and the prototype options. And now in this panel, when you select an element, it will provide you with CSS that you can use when you are coding. That's cool, except I don't know if it's very useful for them, but I think it is. I'm sure someone else can answer that better than me. But yes, when you click on the elements, you can see the CSS that is used in the development. And then yeah, so devs will use this. So it's a very good collaboration tool for working with devs. and especially because they can also kind of export the assets from here and know where they go to. So it's very cool because they can also see your updates in real time, which is cool. So that's kind of the two things that happens after you finish your design in Figma, specifically for an app. But you can also Figma for kind of any kind of design reasons. For example, these slides that I'm presenting were also made in Figma. Whoa! Were also made in Figma. And then I also make all of the surge graphics that you may have seen for this event and other events on Figma with Nathan and Lauren. And you can kind of see that it's got a lot of use cases and it's really good for collaborating with other people, regardless of if you're like a designer and a developer, or if you're a bunch of designers that want to work together. That's cool. It all works out pretty well. Yeah. So other than that, I'm ending pretty swiftly, but if anyone has questions or if anyone happened to be working while I was talking, I can bring up your design and we can look at it together if you want. I don't know if anybody wants to, but I even made a slide for it.
Michelle, Jerry's asking, how would this work if I were to use my designs for a website?
Sure. Ooh, I'm blind. I cannot see. Oh, the chat is gone. Okay. Anyway, for a website, I will go to the working file. For a website, you would start with the frame tool again, because that's kind of the basis of like where you start everything. So you go to the desktop option and you have some different options you can start with. I typically start with desktop. It seems to work the best. So you'll start with a desktop and you can kind of start the same process I did with this, but you can probably find a UI kit, maybe. There might be less. Oh, there is some. There are some, yeah. There's some different UI kits you can also use for websites if you don't want to kind of make all your own stuff. But making your own stuff is very good practice if you want to like practice design. But you can also pull a file from the community. Maybe this one. This one seems like a good one, or this one.
Another question. It's the difference or the advantages and disadvantages of creating components versus simply grouping.
Gotcha. Grouping is primarily organization, as you can see by my lack of grouping, and I'm not very organized. But you can use grouping to do a lot of like organization. So you can like group your fields and group your title and illustration. And that will definitely help keep your Figma files more organized, especially when they get kind of super big. Then they can get really unorganized. I think I have an example because I'm not that organized. We're loading. Ah, yes. So this was a project I did with a couple people, but as you can see, like within the frames, there's a lot of not very good organization happening. But grouping is a great way to combat this. And then kind of the advantages of components is you'll be able to switch out instances in order to like show different versions of the same component. Figma's planning to update this feature soonish, and it will be even more powerful. So that's cool. But to show you how a component works, I'm gonna use this Animal Crossing character builder because they use components pretty nicely. So this is a character made for a graph. Yes. So how the components are used in this. So each kind of character here is made with a bunch of different components for the nose, the mouth, the eyes, etc., etc. So if you look at the outfit here, if you go to the main component, all of these different versions of the same component are kind of hidden somewhere else, but you can swap in between them really easily because of the component feature. So how we swap, is in or here. So when you have a component selected, you'll see like this menu appear, and you'll be able to swap between different components, and it will just automatically change. And that's kind of cool. Yeah. In an app or a website scenario, you can definitely use this to like change the text on buttons, show when different options are selected, because when you're designing apps to send to developers, you need to make sure they know what all the states of the website or the app look like. So in order to keep from making the same component over and over again, you can use components to kind of swap out instances when necessary. It makes your workflow a lot faster if you put in the time to kind of make them from the start.
Another question, Michelle. If you don't start working with components like from the start, is there a way to group the instances that you've created already into components?
Yep. I think these are all components. Are they not? Oh, they're not components. So to create a component, you can select what you want in the component. So like I'll select these. And if you right click, you'll have a create a component option here that you can use to create new components. And then you'll be able to kind of organize your files that way. Except when you create a new component and you have already a bunch of duplicates like this, it won't like automatically replace it. So you'll have to kind of fix that. I can't see the chat anymore.
No, you're good. I'm moderating it. Yeah, because if I can add on to that, for one of my design classes that I took, creating components made it really easy to like make changes later. Especially if you're doing React, like we love components because you start off with very general basic components that you can change in the future. And that way you don't have to like reproduce the same kind of things over and over again.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone has been working, but feel free to send it to the Discord, Premiere, to somebody, and we can pop it on screen if you want. But if you don't, I'll just keep taking questions. Maybe I'll keep prototyping.
Oh, there's someone that sent in a URL. Let me just check.
Nice.
See if it's okay. Oh, no, I think it's yours.
It's mine. Okay.
But do you want to maybe do you want to oh, he made it like this one. Gotcha. Okay, never mind. But
Nice job.
do you wanna go further into this and make like, I don't know, add some background stuff or colors, just experiment
Sure.
with the settings that Figma has.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Um, so what were we doing with this app? E-commerce? All right. So we can see here the colors don't really match. The page is a lot of room to improve here. So what we could do as a simple step is to make the illustrations you get from Figma, or not from Figma, from open source libraries to match your different components. Anyone have a color preference? So I can't see the chat to see what color they say.
Give her a hard color. Yes, yellow. Go.
Yellow, fun. All right, we're gonna make a yellow app. I think you guys were thinking like neon yellow, so I'm gonna do that to prove to you that it can be done. So starting with, I guess I'm gonna get into color theory. So starting with a strong color like neon yellow is kind of nice because you know kind of what the accent color will be. So the thing you can probably guess at is you don't want another strong color with your primary strong color. So you don't want lime green with neon yellow, for example, or else it's a lot of strong colors. So I'm gonna base this one around neon yellow. So there are kind of three methods to picking colors that match. One of them is, oh, am I gonna remember the names? One of them is to use the same color in different shades or tones. So I can make this all different shades of yellow. Hmm. What's kind of fun too is you can select everything and then it shows you the different colors you have selected. And if you choose one of the colors here from the selection colors kind of section, if you pick a color and you change it, it will change kind of all instances where that color is present in the area you selected. So if I select this green, for example, and I want to make it blue, it will change all the areas that are green to blue. So now it's blue here. But this needs to be yellow. Yes, you can kind of make an color palette by using different shades of yellow. Yellow is the fun color. So that's kind of the first option for creating kind of colors that match, is to use like the same color but different shades throughout your design. So for example, this is primarily yellow, just different variations of yellow. Then the other option is to use is to refer to a color wheel I have handy from another workshop. Yes. So the other options are to use kind of the ones opposite on the color wheel. So as you can see here, blue is opposite of yellow. So if we put yellow and blue together on the screen, it's probably gonna look okay. Now if we go back to the working file, we can make stuff yellow and blue. as an option. So as you can see, even just by making this yellow and this blue, that it looks pretty decent. And that's because they're opposite on the color wheel. So a color wheel's a good reference to have, whether you just Google it quickly, because I don't even remember where the colors are on the wheel. But yeah, you can use complementary colors like this to make a design. And then you can set these colors, neutral colors like black, white, and gray. And then the last option is to use kind of a triangle formation. So as you can see here, if you use the triangle on the color wheel, these will also typically work together well. This example happens to include yellow. So I can take these three colors and I can put them on a screen. Whoa. So let's make them yellow again. And we'll make the buttons purple. Okay, purple it is. Then we can make the background. Sure, we'll make the background a shade of green. Maybe we'll reverse the yellow and the green. That's not green, that's why I'm confused. So as you can see here, the colors don't really clash here either because they follow the rules of this color wheel. That's how you can kind of pick different colors that suffice, that are decent together.
What's the triangle color thing called again?
Ooh, triadic. Yes, this is called triadic, and this one's called analogous, and this one's called complementary. I don't know why they're so hard to pronounce for me, but yes. Yes, but that's how you pick colors that look good together.
Michelle, I have one last question.
What's up?
So in many screens, like including apps and desktops, you have like not just this, you don't have static pages, but you also have like, you have more stuff on the screen so you can scroll and whatnot. Mm-hmm. How would you incorporate that into the design?
Well, the first thing you always want to consider when you make things that are scroll or like that are longer than the screen, regardless of if it's like a mobile app or if it's the desktop app, is you want to put the important things kind of above where the scroll starts. Because if you put like important things below what is called the fold, they tend to get forgotten or not looked at because after the kind of top section of the page, people tend to get kind of bored. So I would just always start with putting the important things at the top. That's pretty important. But then other than that, Figma's pretty good about integrating like scroll functionality. So to make things like websites that are obviously longer than one screen, you can just make the artboard longer. And you'll be able to, you can make it like however long you need to make it for all your content to fit. And then you'll be able to, ooh, that's not what I meant to click. You'll be able to scroll. I guess you can't see anything because that's white. I'm gonna add this guy over here. Where are you? And you can see that you can just scroll down like you would a normal kind of website in prototype mode, and you can kind of see all your content as you're designing, which is pretty useful too. Here's our illustration again. Yeah, but other than that, keep imported things across over the fold. And then, yeah, all of the same kind of rules apply to things above the fold and below the fold. It's just making sure that there's sufficient space, making sure the colors you pick are consistent throughout. This doesn't make too much difference into when you're designing. It's mainly just order of content.
Oh, Michelle, someone's asking, I forgot to ask this, apologies, but can all plugins and UI kits be downloaded for free?
Plugins and yes, I think all of the plugins and files will have a free version. Most of them are completely free. Some of them might be like a freemium situation. What is happening? I think there's one I have that's a freemium. Yes. I think it's this one. Yeah. So there's some that are, most of them are free, but some of them kind of you might need to pay to get like more stuff. But like I've always been able to suffice with just the free options since there's so many options out there. And you can often like combine different options. Like if you need icons, for example, you can see there's just so many different options for icons that if one doesn't have the icon you're looking for, you can always probably find it in another. Yeah. Yeah, there's even lots of plugins to try.
I also wanted to add like how versatile Figma is, and it's super useful because we've even used it to design our resumes. Because working in Word and Publisher is kind of impossible when you're trying to create your resumes. And Figma does a really nice job of like whether you're trying to create this complex like app or website, it doesn't have to be. It can literally be just a simple resume or cover letter. And Figma does a really neat job of designing those elements too. Yeah, that's our resume workspace.
Jocelyn didn't give permission.
Yeah, that's
this
true.
is my resume. You can see it. Yes, this is my resume. But yeah, we do a lot of things in Figma.
Yeah. And on the collaborative nature, it's like real time, so you can literally see the other person's cursor while you're working, and it's super nice to have that element because it makes you feel like you're not doing work alone. Nathan, I don't know if you can, but oh, there's Nathan. He knew where I was going with
Hello,
this.
David.
Are the icons from the community available for commercial use, or does it assume only personal use?
A lot of them will have their own licensing specifications, but a lot of them are assumed personal use. So I would just always assume personal use, since that tends to be like 90% of them anyway. Yeah, but there's like, if you read, most of them will say like if they're allowed for like if they're different from the normal one, but a lot of them are like for personal use because I think this license, this I think is this one for commercial use. But yeah, you can see the licensing information. Whoa, it paused. You can see the licensing information here, regardless of what plugin you click on or what file, and it will take you to that information. I think this one is a free for anything, but yeah. Most of them personal, but if you want to double check, licensing is easy to find.
Nargis is asking, do you use the pen tool to shape your sketch?
I use the pen tool very simply because I am not the greatest at the pen tool. I think yeah, this was made with the pen tool. Ooh, bye bye. And a bunch of Boolean operators apparently. I made this a long time ago. But yes, this was made using the pen tool. So yeah, you can definitely use the pen tool to like shape, sketch, but I'm not the most proficient at it. The answer is yes, in short. I don't know if there's any more questions.
No, we have like just a couple of minutes left. So do you have any like last minute advice or anything with Figma you wanna close off with?
Um, I guess I can go to the end slide. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming again. If you have any questions that you like don't want to ask on Zoom or something, you can find me in the Surge Discord. You should be in the Surge Discord sometime. But yeah, I'm always available in the Zoom Discord if you have any like specific questions or if you want me to look over your project or anything like that. I'm always there, weirdly. And then if you want to see like stuff I've made in the past, my design Instagram is here. Since we didn't really get to look much into it. But yeah, my design Instagram is here. You can see past hackathon projects, past class projects. If you want to see what I do sometimes. And yeah, that is all I have to say at the moment.
Yeah. And let us know if you guys are interested in creating like your resumes in our workspace. Because like we give each other peer feedback and all of that, and it's totally up to you, and you can make your information confidential too, so don't include things that you don't want to be shared publicly. Um, but honestly, like let us know in the Search Discord, as Michelle said, and we can like all work together in like one big Figma file.
And I am ending on time.